Uh, yeah, yeah, uh.
Good evening, everybody. It is Tuesday night and it is the Fantasy Cheat Sheet presented by Going for Two Live on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook. I don't care where you at. You need to follow Going for Two because it is time. Because why? Because football is finally here. I'm just going to introduce the boys. Let's get this party started. First off, Jordan, my man, what is going on, buddy?
Well, got my camera working this week, so step in the right direction. We just had a crazy week one. I'm ready to talk about it.
Yep. And speaking of crazy week one, we will get a lot more into it later. But Jamie was the only person on the cast to pick the Jets to win the game. But let's not get into that quite yet, Jamie. But what is up? How you doing, my man?
Man, I had a rough week one, ups and downs. Just looking forward to week two, man.
All right. So before we get into everything, I just want to do some clerical work because it is a new season. So this season, we're still doing our 10 cheats of the week, but we have a couple new segments. So first off, we'll still do our Monday Night Football. We'll still do our waiver wire. We have two new segments in the middle, and I will discuss those, how we're doing those when it is time. But first, it is time for the news. And boys, should we just start it off with what we should? I think so. Unfortunately, last night, we will talk more about the Monday night game in general in a second with our takeaways. But we would be remiss if we do not start off the show talking about the biggest news in NFL this week. It's the only Going for Two show that's been able to talk about it since all the other shows were before the Monday night game, so I want to get into it. Aaron Rodgers gets hurt on the first drive. We don't know what's going on with it at first. Everyone was trying to figure out, self-diagnosing on the internet. The video looked bad, and the video was diagnosed exactly what we thought. Torn Achilles, out for the season, maybe even career. I don't know, not speculating, but with his age, with everything else, you never know. We'll do a couple rounds on this one with a couple different questions. First off, just first initial thoughts of the injury and what it means to the league, the game, and then we'll get to a couple of the other things in a second. Jordan, take it away.
Well, man, it was obviously me being a Packers fan, seeing him in a different jersey felt kind of different for me, but I didn't want him to. I didn't want it to be like this. I mean, he had the Jets. Everybody was excited about seeing him. We had Hard Knocks. I had watched all the Hard Knocks before the game just to kind of get that vibe for. I was looking forward to it, man, and just to see it cut short the way it was. I mean, and then it's not like it was an ankle sprain, and then you'll be back in 4 or 5 weeks. This is it. I don't think he's. I don't think he's going to retire. I mean, I wouldn't anticipate with all the hype. They were talking about Super Bowl this year and all of that. I anticipate he'll be back, but it's just devastating for those fans, for those players on the team. Everybody on the team, everybody surrounding the team was looking forward to this season. They knew they had a special quarterback, and just to see it kind of end the way that it did without it even really getting started, it was just sad to see.
Jamie, what do you think, my man?
Well, my feelings about Rodgers. I never really liked the guy, but my heart goes out to him, man. I'm heartbroken that happened to him. I was looking forward to watching him with the Jets, new team, like new environment. I'm a huge Wilson fan. I thought he was going to unlock him this year. It's sad, man, because my bold prediction, I picked him to go to the Super Bowl and lose it, and now he can't even make it to the Super Bowl. So I don't think he's going to come back next year fully healthy. Even if he does, I don't know. It's a tough call because with that type of injury, 40% of the people don't even come back from that.
Yeah, exactly. And at
his age,
that's the other issue. I mean, I did think it was kind of funny. Not funny about the injury at all, but kind of funny. I watched the Manning cast for part of the night. And when it first happened and we didn't realize how bad it was, Peyton brought up in a joking way. Hopefully he's got a potion that he can put some dirt on and rub in the locker room, and maybe he'll come out. And then when it realized how bad it was, he's like, this could be the end of an era. I hope it's not. I agree with Jordan that I think he's going to come back. But at the same exact time, I agree with you, Jamie. He's not going to come back as Aaron Rodgers. I just don't think I don't think it's going to happen. He's going to come. Maybe the cliff happens. He's going to fall off. I mean, he's going to be one of the, I think this is going to be one of those cliffs. If he does try to come back, it's going to be a faster cliff than some others. You know, like how Manning went Super Bowl and then it just like fell off. I think that's what it's going to do. To get back to the injury part, I mean, it was horrible to see. Like you said, Jordan, I wanted to see what he did for this offense. I watched all the Hard Knocks, throughout when it happened. I had to catch up on 2 of the last episodes in the past week and a half. So I was all hyped for it. Seeing him, I know other guys did it too, but just because they only showed him on ESPN, so everyone thought it was just him that did it. Seeing him run out with the flag on 9/11, getting that stadium all pumped up and all crazy to go, and then just to deflate the building so fast was part of the reason that it was a bummer to me.
Yeah.
So the other big piece that I want to bring up, and we talked about this pre-show with the 3 of us, and this is why I said we want to go round 2, and I think Jordan knew exactly where I was going with this, and that's why he didn't bring it up being a Packers fan. The other byproduct of this injury that I think needs to be brought up, is it 65 or 70%, Jordan, of snaps?
I thought it was 70.
7, I thought so too, but I saw a couple contradicting things. There was a clause in the trade agreement that if Aaron Rodgers played 70% of the snaps for the Jets, which was a foregone conclusion, like Jordan mentioned to us off camera, that the second round pick in 2024 was conditional. Second was going to be bumped up to the first. Now Green Bay is only going to get a second in 2024, which drops the value of the trade that much even further, and the money and all that. So I'm going to go the other way since Jordan is a Packers fan. Jamie, what do you think about that for the Packers and everything that has to happen, especially because there's a lot better chance that pick would have been better if there was no clause, because of obviously they're probably going to do worse than they would if they had Rodgers.
Yeah, I mean, if they had Rodgers, it would have been a late first, right? Now without Rodgers, it's probably going to be an early second. So it could be like only a 10 to 15 pick difference. But for a Packers fan, man, I feel bad for you because you could have got that extra first pick.
Yeah, I'm bummed out about the pick a little bit, but I mean the Jets gave that up to get Rodgers, and they're not even getting him. So
it goes both ways. It goes both ways.
They are still getting the short end of that stick, especially if we said, if he retires or like if he doesn't come back, then they gave up those things for nothing, essentially, or like a training camp worth of a Hall of Fame quarterback, and that we still get the better end of that deal.
Yeah, I mean, you guys definitely get the better, and it just sucks for both teams. Like,
yeah.
You guys were expecting the first, they were expecting the player, and either way, we get screwed on that. Rig, what is up? NBA Rig, it is awesome to have you in the chat. Thank you for that compliment. I appreciate that. And let me see this real quick. Which New York teams do you trust more rest of year? I will just say this real quick. I'll give my quick thing. I've said it from the beginning, and I don't think that Sunday night was a full representation of it. But I've said on other shows that I think the Giants are going to finish in last place in the division. So that's just, there goes that. And I don't know how the Jets are going to do. I just don't think the Giants got better. Do you want to answer that quickly, Jeff or George, Jamie?
I mean, I don't trust either team right now, but passing game, man, I would have to trust Daniel Jones over Zach Wilson, right?
Yeah.
So
If we want to be technical, I trust Buffalo since they're in New York too. But if we're talking about
True. Hey, you're 100% right on that.
but if we're talking about the teams around New York City, I think I'd still trust the Jets because of that defense.
Yeah,
I mean,
defense, man.
It showed last night that even with minimal offense, I mean, and Brees Hall being Superman, which we'll touch on later.
We'll get to that in a sec.
The defense carried them, and I think they can do that. They pretty much did a portion of that last year as far as they could. If Zach Wilson takes just a little bit of a step, the Jets could still possibly make the playoffs. I just don't think they're Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah. So let's get into the rest of the news. I don't want to keep bugging on Aaron. We'll get to a little bit of the Monday night game. Hope you get better, Aaron. Go get surgery. Yep. I personally know how a bad Achilles feels. So trust me, when I saw this, heart goes out to you. Let's get into some of the other injury news that we need to get ahead of real quick. First off, Deontay Johnson, wide receiver of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I know, Jamie, I have on 6 teams.
That's it?
Oh, no. Hey, no. But I'm including managed only, not best ball.
Oh.
When I talk leagues, I'm not including I'm talking literally 6 managed leagues, including SFB and Warrior Bowl.
Yep.
Pulled hammy, out for this week. I've also seen that he could be out for 2 to 3. Fantasy footballers had a source that said that it could be IR for 4 or 6. They're not sure. That's just, it could be because it depends on how bad the hamstring strain is. It's definitely strained. It just depends on how bad it is. And the other injury that I want to get into, Austin Eckler was just dealing with an ankle problem as of yesterday. As of this afternoon, I saw a report, and Jamie was listening to a podcast before the show that brought it up as well. An ankle issue might be a high ankle sprain. If it is a high ankle sprain for him, I'm just going to say it right now because I know I didn't see his name on the list, so I'm just going to say it. If Joshua Kelly is available in your league, that is your number one. If it's a high ankle sprain and that's not your number one high priority on your waiver wire, you're not playing football right. I'm sorry.
Yep.
You need to go to get him
20% on him.
Yep, because volume is king when it comes to running back. And I'm out on Isaiah Spiller, and I think the Chargers are out on Isaiah Spiller. But quick question for both of you. I'm going to go just so we can keep going with the show. Jordan, will you talk a little bit about what you think about the Steelers situation?
Yeah, seeing Deontay, it was off of a completion. I think he had gained a good chunk of yardage, and then he just grabbed it.
Fell on his face, and then just fell on his face.
That looked very serious. You know, he is one of those guys. He's kind of like the Anthony Davis of football. He goes to the locker room a lot. So sometimes he goes to the locker room a lot, and then he'll come back. But this time he couldn't come back. So
you had to.
But I will say this for everyone who I've been hearing for 3 months about Kenny Pickett and the growth that he was supposed to show. And you know, I know they were playing against San Francisco, but
it'll be brought up later too.
Okay,
it'll be brought up.
But I think, you know, that was a reality check, and it's rare
complete.
It's rare that you see a Mike Tomlin team get blown out like that. I think they'll be better moving forward, and you know, Allen Robinson becomes relevant now that Deontay is hurt. I was disappointed in George Pickens, but I think that was just the offense as a whole. Once they get going, Pickens will be solid. Calvin Austin got some targets, so we'll see. Freiermuth scored a touchdown, so I think they'll be fine in the long run. But it sucks not having Deontay because I actually started buying into him late in draft season.
Yeah. All right, so Jamie, go into more of your thought. I know you like Eckler. Go into your thought more on the Eckler situation.
That's going to hurt that team, man. I mean, high-powered offense, going to put him back a little bit. But Joshua Kelly did look good. He actually split 50-50 with him. I mean, it could have been because of the ankle. But I think he'll kind of step in, play that role that they'll keep moving forward, man. I mean, they're going to just focus more on the passing game, I guess, and then just roll him out. But definitely go get him, put at least 15-20% on Fab if it's going to be a high ankle sprain.
And even,
I hope it's not high. Yeah, go Jordan.
And even if, the thing with Eckler is like he may not miss time with the high ankle, but if he doesn't, he's going to be limited. And so it'll still be worth picking up Kelly because.
Well, isn't a high ankle sprain worse than a?
No, it is. But what I think he's saying is even if it's an ankle and it's not even if it's not a high ankle, but it's a bad regular ankle sprain and Eckler can play, I think they're going to make it more of a 60-40 split than 60-40, 50-50 for good.
Like he's a small guy, but he's tough. I think he'll try to play through it regardless of what it is, and he just won't be effective essentially. And Kelly will be a good pickup.
But yeah, that Deontay though, that injury killed me. I had him in all my lineups. He actually was missed on a touchdown too. He could have had another touchdown, but I think it was Pickett that missed him.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, so I pretty much agree with the boys on all of this. I just want to say that I got too much of both of them. I got more Herbert that is going to rely on Eckler. There's those little dump offs in the 20-yard run. So let's get that going with Joshua Kelly, and I will be fine.
But you're also going to have to wait a week because Pickens is going to be shut down next week because Jamar Chase can't even.
We weren't talking. Well, we were talking about. I was talking about Herbert. Yeah. So the other news that I do want to bring up real quick, just because it is important. Chris Jones did sign a 1-year. He is back on the Chiefs. Thank goodness. I will get to that a little bit in something later, but more importantly, he will be back. I just want to say this before we go into the main part of the show, because we're already running a little bit late, is this. I hate saying this, boys, because you know my affection for my Red and my Chiefs. The way they did this, I don't think he's on the team next year. I think they're getting him paid. This hurts. It hurts. Because they put a stipulation in his contract that because of the way it's working, they can still franchise him. And if you try to franchise him, guess what's going to happen? You're just going to piss him off. Just like CR did in the chat. Because he just said, come on. Stupid. Let's go Lions. I know you're trolling me, and you're not going to get away with it. Okay. So let's get into, as I say, the meat and potatoes of the show, and let's get to class. It is time for the Monday Night Football takeaway. Jordan, you are up. I just want to lead you in with because I know what you're going to talk about. I just want to lead you in by saying every person on this screen on the fantasy cheat sheet agrees and is upset at the same time as Jordan. Go ahead.
As sad as we all are about Rodgers' injury, we are all fantasy players, so we think about the fantasy impact. And Garrett Wilson, I just got to say RIP to his breakout season. I was looking forward to him getting to new heights. I mean, he had a good year last year with Zach Wilson, Joe Flacco, and Mike White. But I expected him to take another leap. We were drafting him in the second round in fantasy because we anticipated him being able to compete with the Amon-Ra St. Browns, the Jalen Waddles, and all those guys. But without Rodgers, I mean, you saw it a little bit last night. I mean, he scored a touchdown, miraculous catch by him, great play. But
miracle.
But I mean, he vanished for a long time throughout the course of the game. And I know, Tre'Davious White is a good cornerback, so maybe it was just a matchup. And, I think thrusting Zach Wilson into the game when they did not game plan for that, I think kind of hurt, and it's not an accurate picture of what you'll see once the game plan is set around having Zach Wilson as the quarterback. So I think Garrett Wilson will be better. But I just think, we can kind of kiss that whole upside, the ceiling of him reaching those top 5 guys potentially. I think that's gone out the window with Zach Wilson back in charge of the offense.
Jamie, I know you agree,
Yeah.
so just give me what you think.
I mean, just going off that, he had that top 5 upside. Now I think we have to temper our expectations. I still think he could be a mid wide receiver 2, maybe in the 15, 17 range weekly.
Mhm.
He's that good, man. You saw that catch in the end zone. That was all him.
Yeah.
And there's also a possibility they go out and get someone else. I did hear Kaepernick's agent reached out to the Jets. But, I mean, not him, but there could be someone else out there.
So
Unless Andrew Luck comes out of retirement, I don't care who's on the who's on
I bet they miss Mike White right now.
Well, to that point, Jamie, I would put a lot of money on the fact that they bring someone in, but I put more money on that person will not start a game for the Jets unless Zach Wilson gets hurt. They don't have a backup behind Shriveler. They brought Shriveler back in after they put him on waivers or whatever, and he came back to the practice squad. They don't have another backup. I said last night with I mentioned it in someone's chat that was streaming the game. I really think they're going to try to bring in Carson Wentz, and the longer Carson Wentz doesn't get signed, the less money he's going to be willing to take. And I just think that's what's going to end up happening. Who knows? I also saw that they're thinking about Joe Flacco. But to get to Garrett Wilson, this bugs me a lot. I have drafted him. I have him in a couple dynasty. I have him in my work league with Seayard. He was one of my wide receivers. Luckily, I won because I had Wilson and Stephon last night, and the guy I was going against had Mr. Number 8, so I did end up winning, but I was going to win even if Aaron had an okay game. Aaron was going to have a great game for me to lose, but I think his upside is reduced. But here's a question for you, Jamie, just because I know how you play. Are you overreacting and trying to trade him? Or are you in Dynasty? Or are you holding on and see what happens?
What player are we talking about? Wilson?
Garrett.
Oh, no, I'm going to hold on to him. I'll keep playing him. I'm not going to sell him cheap.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I feel the same way. I just wanted to see what you thought, just because I've heard people asking that question. Before we get into Jamie's real quick, let me throw this up there, and then we'll see. $200 fab budget, Jamie. How much should I be willing to put on Puka Nacua? They have Cup in the IR from Connie Bow. What do you think, Jamie?
I would say, let's see, if you have Cup on the IR, if you can afford it, maybe 25%.
Yeah.
That would be like anywhere between 45 to 50. Just because I like the way he played, man. I think he played 70% of the snaps on the outside. So even when Cup comes back, he's still going to get snaps.
Yep.
Yes. And,
all right.
and
yeah.
Van Jefferson did not deliver. So Stafford was looking at Puka, and then he even got Tutu Atwell involved. But yeah, I'd spend about 40 on Puka.
I think we're on the same page.
Yeah, because I mean he got 40% of the targets even.
If Josh Kelly is available, I might go Josh Kelly.
So Jamie, you're not so high on Garrett Wilson anymore because of what happened. But will you tell me who you're high on because of the comeback?
Yes, on a brighter note for the Jets, welcome back Breece Hall, man. Oh, man, he looked electric every time he got the ball in his hands. He had 10 carries. What was it, 127 yards?
Yep.
And then he had one catch for 20-something. He just looked great, man. And just wait till these touchdowns keep coming. Because he didn't even get a touchdown, and he was top 10 running back. Bijan Robinson finished right around him with the same amount of work. Obviously, Bijan had more catches, but in standard league, I'm pretty sure Breece Hall finished above Bijan. But yeah, man, I'm excited for them. They're going to have to run the ball more now. They're going to use them. Even with Dalvin Cook, I'm not worried about the split because Cook looked inefficient. Like, they're just going to bring him in to keep Brees healthy. And when Brees comes in, man, look out. Those fancy points are just going to keep coming and coming every week.
Yeah, I agree.
Jordan, what do you think?
Dalvin Cook looked cooked, for
Yeah.
lack of a better term. But I think that could have just been, him kind of getting on the team late, and things like that. So, yeah, Brees was electric, man. Like you mentioned, Jamie, I on that 83-yard run, I think he just ran out of gas, and that's going to come with the conditioning once he gets back into, game shape and stuff like that. So that was good to see. I'm glad to see that that's a positive note for them. And I think the Jets will run the ball so much that even when him and Dalvin splits, it'll still be enough for him to play at a high level. So, that was good from the Jets standpoint. And, as we all picked this game, I didn't anticipate Brees Hall doing that, going off the way he did. I didn't anticipate one of the guys on the Bills kind of giving that game away. Right, Mike?
Yeah, so my takeaway from this game is Josh frickin' Allen. Three interceptions, one fumble. So before I fully get into my take, I think Whitehead, I can't remember his first name from the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to call Josh Allen, thank him, send him a bouquet of flowers, and ask him what his favorite restaurant is, and get him a gift certificate to that restaurant for him and his entire family, because he had 3 interceptions in the game, right?
Yeah, he has a good name, Jordan Whitehead. But
Jordan Whitehead, yeah, I couldn't remember his first name. But
yeah.
Did you hear the incentive in his contract?
No.
His interception incentive is 3, and it was $250K.
Wow. So he got it in week 1.
He got it in week 1.
That is awesome because he hasn't had more than 3 receptions in his career.
He had 3 last year.
Yeah.
He had 3 last year, and so they gave him an incentive for the 3 to match it, and he got 200. He's getting $250K because of it. Okay, so to get into the actual Josh Allen take, someone brought this up. It was not me. That they thought he was wearing a number 4 jersey for a green and yellow team in the past. Jordan, you know where I'm going with this take now.
Okay.
He is turning into Brett Favre in the sense of he is turning into yellow. Like, he's throwing the ball up. He's just hoping someone's there. You can't do that if you're the star quarterback of a team that is trying to go to the gosh dang Super Bowl. You cannot play like that. Yes, I am giving him somewhat of a pass in the sense that he was playing the defense of the New York Jets. I understand that. That is not my issue. I'm watching Get Up this morning, and I don't know if I've seen Damian Woody more mad at a football player in week 1 of a game than I have this morning. And he was making a couple points that I wasn't even thinking about because I'm not an NFL player and I'm not Damian freaking Woody who studies it. He was comparing him to John Elway and other quarterbacks in the sense of right now he is making reckless. Not only is he making reckless plays with his arm is the reason I'm bringing Favre up. Because Favre would just go out there and try to throw the ball, 35 interceptions, 40 touchdowns, and it wouldn't hurt but he'd still win. The problem that Josh is also having is he's trying to do things with his legs. The problem is he's doing it all the time, no matter what the situation. John Elway did it when he needed to make a first down or when he freaking helicoptered into the goddamn end zone in the Super Bowl to win the game. Josh Allen will do it at the goal line or his own goal line to get out of the end zone at the 1-yard line when you shouldn't be doing stuff. He'll do it at the 10-yard line. That's not when you need to be doing and putting your body on the line, because at one point, Jamie, and I'm saying this because me and you are older than Jordan. The more and more you do it, age is going to catch up to you, right, Jamie?
Oh yeah, it does.
And he's gonna regret doing that. So he needs to slow down, trust his players, take a sack, slide. Just learn how to slide, okay? And I'm not even in my rant of the week, and I love this. It's week one just got over. But the other thing, the other stat, since the week that he became a starter in the NFL, number one in interceptions, boys. Number one. That's not how you are going to win an NFL Super Bowl. And I think they can, but he's got to prove it. And they're playing the Raiders this week. I'm expecting a bounce back. If he doesn't bounce back, he might end up in a different category of this show. And that category is brand new to the show. So, Jordan, this was your baby of a category. So why don't you kick off our new section, fake or real? Take
All
it away.
right. So for the listeners, the new segment, real or fake, is basically we each analyze certain performances and we decide, was this a performance real, meaning something that is sustainable, something that we could count on, either it's good or bad, or fake, is this like a aberration type of performance. So I have one of each this week for me. The first one, my fake. It's somebody I'm not believing in is Tutu Atwell. I know he got the targets. I know he played the snaps, but it's just he's been on this team forever. And I just think, they didn't have anybody else. Van Jefferson couldn't be counted on. They were playing against a Seattle team that obviously didn't improve as much on defense as we thought. And I just don't think that his his performance is sustainable. I mean, he had a good game. Respect to him. I think Puka is more legit moving forward than him in the way that the game was played and the targets that he got. It just felt like Stafford, when he needed a play to be made, he was looking for Puka to make that play. I think the Rams have a lot of other guys. Like Higbee wasn't as involved as I thought he would be, so that's something that could change. I know Van Jefferson didn't deliver, but I think he'll get more targets than he was seeing. So Tutu will have some games. I think he's more boom or bust. I don't think you can rely on him to consistently give production. So I'm going to say, his performance is fake. I'm not buying into it. I mean, deep leagues, if you need somebody, possibly. I mean, they're playing against the 49ers next week, so I wouldn't count on much. But, yeah, I think I don't believe it. Y'all want me to go to the real, or y'all want?
I'll give a little bit of – I'll go, and then after I'm done, you go to your real. I 100% agree with you. The only way I am playing Tutu skinny as a straw Atwell is in a GPP, and Jamie will agree with me on this, is in a GPP. If I can get him cheap, like you said, he is a boomer bust player, and in a GPP, I wouldn't mind taking him and having him as a big guy, a guy that can maybe get me some points in the passing game. But like you said, you got Puka. We'll talk about that later, but you got Puka who got all the targets. You still got Higbee. You still got, I have to say this, Van freaking Jefferson, will you please turn the right way and catch the ball, because that was a touchdown.
Yes.
Okay? That was a walk-in if he turned the right way. I literally was, that hurt me. Oh, that ticked me off. So, yes, I agree with you, Jordan. This is fake. So why don't you tell us who your real player is? Jamie, you talk about his real player after, and then just roll into yours.
So I just went back into the show sheet and I saw the message that was left next to the person that I picked. And I assumed that was Mike that added that comment.
Yep.
But the person to I guess the surprise of no one, the person I think who had a real performance was Jordan Love. Love threw for 3 scores against a Bears defense that I thought was going to be vastly improved with the moves that they made in the offseason. But I guess it just, they didn't put it together for week 1. Without his best weapon, Love still went into producing at a high level, 2 for 3 touchdowns. Romeo Dobbs was on a snap count, so he didn't have his 2 best weapons in at a full snap share, and he still was able to produce. I mean, I think, he's not going to be what Aaron Rodgers was in his prime or anything, but I think moving forward in 2 QB leagues, Love is somebody. I know going into draft season, people were, kind of hesitant because we didn't know what to expect. He didn't get a lot of time, but I think week 1 kind of showed people that he does have the potential to be a solid QB2 option or streaming option on certain weeks when you have a starter down or injuries or anything. He can fill in, and I think he'll keep it going. I don't think it won't be 3 touchdowns every week, but it'll be really solid production.
Yeah, man, I'm liking Love now. I think I'm falling in love with him for real. Like, I wasn't on him all offseason, really. Like, I didn't hate him. I just didn't know what to expect. But after seeing him this week, he didn't even have his number 1 receiver. Imagine if he had his number 1 receiver. Like, I don't see Dubes getting a lot of touchdowns when Christian Watson comes back because he'll get them all.
Let me ask you Jamie, let me ask you a really quick question. Are we sure that Dubs is not his number 1 receiver?
I'm sure. I don't think he's that great.
Okay.
I think
I don't think he's that great, but those reports that have been coming since the summertime, they've been saying this, and I didn't want to believe it because Watson is a better talent, but at some point we have to believe what we're seeing, and I know Watson was out, but we'll get a better picture when Watson plays and is healthy, because neither one of them are really 100% healthy at this point, but we'll get to see that. But I think Dobbs won't go anywhere even when Watson is back.
Yeah, but I could even see more 3 touchdown games from Love in the future when Watson comes back. And I can see them all going to Christian Watson in one game, man. And I'm looking forward to that because I have a lot of Christian Watson.
Have you turned into Zach?
Yeah, I was really wanting to say it, but I didn't.
But another guy that I have been loving on all off season, my man Mac Jones. Mac and cheese, bro. Like, I wasn't expecting the performance he had, right? He finished quarterback 2 overall this week. I knew they were going to take a step forward with the new coordinator. I just was picturing some top 10 games here and there, maybe like a top 15, but not top 2. I still don't even think this is going to be his best game this year, because they're going to be playing from behind a lot. They're going to have to be passing the ball a lot. They're going to have to be playing catch-up pretty much all year long. I can see a lot of just average quarterback 15 to 20 games from him. But just like his rookie year, man, he had multiple top 10 games. And now that he has that coordinator, man, I don't see it stopping and slowing down.
All right. I said there was going to be some debate on this show. I said there was going to be some disagreements. And you had to put mac and cheese as a real. I'm sorry, Jamie. Mac and cheese is literally that, not even Kraft. It's that like Walmart brand that's got the clumpy cheese.
He was gourmet this week, man.
Hear me out. I'm not disagreeing with you that he had a good week. Okay? But this is not sustainable. He's not going to be able to keep doing this. Yes, he had a great week. I get it. I do not know. Jordan, I'm going to say it. I do not know how Hunter Henry had such a good week. I don't get it. Okay? Kendrick Bourne had a good week. To come back from 16-0, to put that game into freaking have a freaking game and actually make it something was great. I'm giving mac and cheese credit. Don't get me wrong, Jamie. I'm also giving Bill O'Brien credit, because you know what I'm about to call somebody that used to be a coach. When your ex-coordinator used to be Fat Patricia, you know you have issues. But here's the thing. I don't think he's going to be able to sustain He's not going to be able to sustain what he did yesterday. And I think, and you know that, Jamie. I know. I'm not saying you don't.
Like, I'm calling top 10 here and there.
I don't. I'm not even. That's the problem. I knew that's where you were going. I don't think he's going to be top 16 on a given week. It's going to be once in a blue moon. I say this. This is what I would. For me, this is a wait and see. And if it happens for another week in a row or 2 weeks, then I am good. But I understand where you're coming from. But there is a player that did really good that you're not sold on.
Yeah, I've never been sold on this guy ever since the combine. Kyron Williams, I think he's going to be a bust. Yeah, he had the one good game. He's just not that good as a football player, in my opinion. He's more of that satellite running back, but he didn't catch any passes. He had 2 touchdowns, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you really think that's sustainable, he's going to have a 34 touchdown year, and that's not going to be possible. He averaged a low average per run. I don't have it off the top of my head, but I think it was like about less than 3 maybe. But yeah, I mean, ever since the combine, he had one of the worst combines we've seen in history. If he didn't score those touchdowns, he would have had 5 fantasy points. And touchdowns are so volatile, I'm not willing to put him in my lineup to get 5 points. So, like, what do you think? Would you take a chance on him?
So, yeah, it depends. Obviously, it depends on who's on the waiver wire. I'd take a chance on him, but I agree with what you're saying. Like, he played last season. He didn't score a touchdown at all. He averaged 3.5 yards a carry on Sunday. They were playing against a defense that obviously wasn't as strong. They're playing against the 49ers next week. Stafford threw for 339 yards and did not throw a touchdown. So, like, how many times, if your quarterback throws for that many yards, likely they're going to throw a touchdown. I know a lot of the running backs scored all the touchdowns. Him and Cam Akers, they ran the ball 37 times, which means, the Rams controlled the clock for most of the game. I don't see that happening. And if they're going to be as bad as I thought, they're going to be playing from behind a lot. And maybe at that point he gets receptions, but like, you can't rely on the performance that you saw on Sunday for that to translate moving forward. He's not going to be getting all these short yardage touchdowns. He's not going to be having those type of opportunities because that offense is, especially without Kupp, isn't going to be good enough to move the ball. Like I mentioned, they're playing the 49ers next week. You could sit Williams, you could sit Akers, you could sit almost everybody on that team because I don't think they're going to be doing much of anything next week.
Exactly. And real quick, I agree with you. I have different reasonings, but I agree with you. So let's get into my 2 real quick. My fake. Are we just going to keep harping on the team that we've been harping on all offseason? And I didn't mean it like that way, but my fake is Jacoby Myers. Yes, he ended up having a good game. I have to give him credit where credit is due. 29 points, 3rd-ranked wide receiver, 9 receptions on 10 targets, 81 catches, 2 touchdowns. Yes, he's in concussion protocol, but it's not the concussion protocol that I'm worried about, so that's not the reason I'm bringing it up. Devontae Adams was double-teamed like no other by one of the best cornerbacks in Patrick Surtain II, and they were shadowing him with the safety. So he had the opportunities. He got a bunch of the red zone targets. Denver's defense did not get the pass rush like I thought they would against Jimmy G. Jimmy G was able to move in the pocket a little bit, enough to, even in one of those touchdowns in the left bottom corner of the end zone, he had to make a spectacular play. I don't think the targets are going to keep up. I am a little worried about Hunter Renfrow, but I do think that Jacoby is going to have an okay season. but I don't think he's going to keep this up or even be close to he's going to end up in like the wide receiver, like 25 to 30 conversation at best. I just don't see this keep going. And honestly, it's part of one of the reasons is because what Jordan said earlier in the year. I think the Raiders stink, and I don't think this is going to keep up either. I think this was an aberration. Jamie, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely not going to keep up 9 receptions, 2 touchdowns. Like, I mean, he only had 80 some yards on the 9 receptions anyway.
Yep, 81.
At best,
Jimmy G
going
is
forward, I could see throwing him into like your second or third flex if it's a deep league. He'll get 4 for 40. You know, that's like 8 points. I'll take 8 points in my last flex spot, but there's no way he's going to keep this up. And like you said, if he ends up as a wide receiver 30, it's going to average out. So he's going to end up weeks as a wide receiver 55, wide receiver like 60. So, yeah, definitely not keeping it up.
Yeah, I'm glad you agree with me because it doesn't happen often. So for my reel, I'm going with rookie from Baltimore, Zay Flowers. Okay, I do understand that Mark Andrews was inactive, and that's what some people are going to say. But here's the reason I think Zay Flowers is real. He did have 17.7 fantasy points. He finished as wide receiver 17. He is a rookie. He performed. He had 9 receptions on 10 targets for 78 yards. But he's not a guy that's gonna like J. Jeff. He's not going to be a guy that's going to have 7 catches for 150 or something like that. This is the line that we're going to see. There was no touchdowns, but he also had 2 rushing attempts on 9 yards. This is why I wanted to bring it up. J.K. Dobbins is out with a torn Achilles. I think they're going. What's his name? Todd Monken had a good career at Georgia, had a good career at your team, Cleveland Browns, Jamie, as the OC. I think he is going. I think Jackson is going to throw the ball a little bit or run the ball a little bit more now with JK out. But I think they're going to look to get the ball in the hands of their weapons. They're still going to use Zay. I think they're going to try to get the ball to Zay in the running game a little bit more. Once Andrew comes back and he is healthy, Bateman is the one that I think gets hurt the most and not Zay. Is it real or is it fake, Jordan?
Oh, it's real. That dude is electric, man. Watching him, Odell, he hasn't played in a while, so you couldn't really expect much from him. Bateman didn't do much as well, and man, Lamar was desperate for somebody to step up and make plays for him. I mean, and we'll talk about why he was rusty a little bit later, but Zay Flowers, man, he looked like the go-to guy. I know, like you mentioned, Andrews was out, but even with Andrews, they still need another weapon. He has the speed. He gets open, and that's what any quarterback needs. And yeah, I can see that. Like as Lamar continues to get more comfortable, gets the rust off. I mean, I can see him using Flowers at a high level. I definitely think it's real performance. I mean, he had 7 for 80 or something like that.
Nine catches for 78 and 2 rushes for 9.
Yeah, and that seems sustainable to me. Yep. And maybe add a touchdown here or there and there. So yeah, I like Zay Flowers. I wish I would have drafted more of him in redraft.
Same here. So
before we get into the next new thing we're doing, Jordan, will you answer this question? And for everyone that's put questions about the waiver wire or comments about the waiver, I'm going to put those all up during the waiver wire segment at the end. So I'm not forgetting your comments. I just want to bring those up together. Jordan, will Aaron Jones be on your starting lineup in week 2 or sitting on the bench for precaution due to the injury at the moment?
Well, I mean, obviously we're still early in the week, but if we're checking our practice reports and he gets some full practices in or full practice on Friday, I'm all go with that. If he's limited, I mean, I think about it, but I mean, Jordan Love, as good as he was, the Packers are still going to rely on the running back. So if Jones is healthy enough to play, I'm putting him out there. Yeah. You always run that risk of a re-injury, but he said it wasn't that serious. I mean, sometimes you can't really believe the players, but I believe him. I believe him until I see him missing a bunch of practices consecutively. Like if he doesn't practice tomorrow, could be a rest day. So I'm not really worried about that on Wednesday. But if we're looking at practice reports on injury reports, practice reports on Thursday and Friday, if he starts to kind of be limited or if he misses practice on Thursday or something, then I would start to worry about it.
So for the next segment, this is kind of how would you say host choice. We're gonna all do something throughout the year. Jordan's for now is a little undecided, but we're calling it for now. So I'll cue everyone's up. Jordan, you can cue mine up when it's time because I know you like when I do what I'm about to do. I am calling this one Jordan's randomness of the week.
So, as I was watching these games on Sunday, I'm looking at a lot of the fantasy scores was down. A lot of the quarterback scoring was down for a lot of guys that we rely heavily on, invested heavy draft capital in. There was a lot of disappointments. And I was like, why was that? I mean, I think it has to be said, these guys need to play in the preseason. I don't understand why Lamar didn't play in the preseason with a new offense, new offensive coordinator, a bunch of new weapons. I have no idea why they didn't play. And it showed that they didn't play at all in the preseason. He was rusty. He couldn't move the ball on the Texans defense. The touchdowns they got came from Justice Hill. I mean, like it just is not what you it's not what you would expect from the expectations that we had with the Ravens and the money that Lamar got, the weapons and all of this stuff that we had been hearing about all season. I think, the preseason, they've shortened it. And I know people are worried about injury, but guys need to get out there. Burrow, same thing. I know he was hurt, but he was rusty. He didn't get a chance to play in the preseason. The people who struggled, I guess for some unexpectedly, but we were relying heavily on him. I think you could kind of tie that into lack of reps in the preseason. Like a lot of people just didn't get those necessary reps that we needed. Hopefully, I don't understand in a game like football why people just want to throw away a game, possibly. The idea of that, because I mean, it comes down to week 17 or 18 almost every year for a division, for a playoff spot. Why would you want to throw that away just from not playing those guys maybe a couple series in a game before the season starts? So it's just frustrating to see because we need those guys to produce from the beginning, and they're not doing it because they're just hanging out on the sidelines during the preseason instead of actually getting those game reps together.
Go ahead, Jamie, because I know you agree.
Yeah, I know, 100%, man. Like preseason's supposed to be like game speed practice. They need those reps, so play them out there more. Even if like they play them half a game,
yeah,
like even half the game. Like they used to do that back in the day, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, man.
I remember when when it was 4 games. The third game was the game that everyone went into. They played they played all the first half and one series into the second half because the players said why they like doing that was they like to get the feeling of coming out of halftime, having to re-warm up and play real quick. Go finish up, Jamie. I was just wondering.
I'm just saying, like, they're being way too cautious with their guys nowadays, and especially with the rules. It's like a safer NFL nowadays than it was back then. So just put them out there. Don't be so cautious with them because it's like the beginning of the season, just like we see it.
Yeah, like they're not going hard. They're not even training their bodies to go through that, and then they just throw them out there. Dobbins tore his Achilles. Rodgers, same, like he tried to play in the last preseason game, so kudos to the Jets for that. But it's just, I don't know. It's just frustrating.
He didn't even throw for 100 yards.
Right. He was actually hurt.
But just an example.
Who picked that upset of the week? This guy.
You did, Mike.
All right. So speaking of upsets of the week, and I didn't even do that on purpose. But speaking of upsets of the week, it is time for Jamie's new segment called Jamie's Betting of the Week.
Yeah, almost hit last week. Missed out on a field goal from your Chiefs. If I would have got that 3 extra points, I would have hit that one. But this week, I'm also going to do the Thursday night Eagles versus Vikings. On a separate bet, you definitely need to put Madison under the 50.5 yards. You get it at negative 110. He's not going to come close. Stevenson on 12 carries didn't even come close to that. But here's my parlay. So again, I played it a little safe, but then I kept adding some more stuff into it for other reasons. So let me get into it.
Jamie. That just sounds like Jamie.
So here it is. It's the Vikings. I'm taking them over 12.5 points. The Eagles over 19.5 points. Then I'm taking the alternative points for the under at 54.5. Now, if you just do that, put a $10 bet on that, it's $27 win. But I wanted to add an A.J. Brown anytime touchdown because I believe he's going to get a touchdown. Mike Evans got a touchdown against him last week, right, with Baker. So also last week, Devonta Smith got his touchdown. I think it's A.J. Brown's turn to get his.
I actually agree. I
think that's a lock. So if you put all that together, $10 would pay $55. But I wanted to go even crazier because it is prime time. Kirk Cousins. And you know he's going to throw an interception.
All right, so I got to bring this comment up at the exact same time then. This is your boy. NBA Rick says he has the Minnesota upset of the week.
Well, this bet doesn't have a straight who wins. So they could win it. It's just the points that I'm doing. But add that Kirk Cousins interception, $10. When I did it, it said 100. So $10 wins 100. Okay. But then I went back to do another one, and the odds actually went down. So 10 will win you 95 right now.
All right.
Add 2 interceptions. If you want to go real crazy, $10 will win you $260.
You know, Jeff was giving me the proverbial hook that I can hook you off the show at any moment.
But I'm not doing the 2 interceptions. I'm only going with the 1. So $10, get 100.
Nice.
So, you know, it comes that time where this was a segment that had kind of just created itself, you know, out of thin air, really, one day. I don't even remember the topic that started it, but you know, here we are. We're starting a new season, so it's about that time to make it official. And we have Mike's rant of the week, but the spin this week is that it's involving your favorite team.
Yes, it is involving my freaking favorite team, and it involves a player that you questioned, didn't know in or out all summer long. So you know exactly where I'm going with this. So there's 2 or 3 parts to this rant, so I'm just going to start. Kadarius Toney, you have hands worse than Alfonso Soriano on the New York Yankees. You got frying pans as hands. Okay? You can't catch anything. Okay? First off, you let one hit your hands, go to he's a good DB, gets caught by a rookie DB, and ran all the way back for a goddamn touchdown. Okay? We would have won if that didn't happen. That's for 1. Then you get a play where you're supposed to turn to the left, turn around and catch the goddamn ball. You turn to the right and drop the goddamn ball. Okay? The Chiefs had 4 official drop passes. I forget what side it was, but it's 4 official drop passes. 3 of them are Kadarius Toney. Then Kadarius Toney goes and deletes all of his social media. Then on Saturday or Sunday, he decides to put his social media up. And then talks crap about the Giants' performance on Sunday night against the Cowboys on Instagram. Kadarius Toney Go home and don't come back to the building. Okay? But here's the problem. Kadarius Toney's not the only problem. We learned, okay, now in hindsight, okay, boys, in hindsight, this is where I go, like I told you guys in the show sheet. I'm spinning this. In hindsight, I am glad we lost that game with Kelsey out. I'm more glad that Kelsey sat that game out. Because if Kelsey would have played that game, and even if he was a decoy, we wouldn't be talking about the problem that the Chiefs have at wide receiver. I'm glad we found out that we have this problem this early in the season. But it also doesn't help when your new number one wide receiver wears a number in the 20s, is shorter than 5'7", and has arms shorter than a T-Rex. Okay? He ruined the game last year when he couldn't get a punt return with Indianapolis. And then they throw to him. They throw one ball to him that was like a little bit taller than he should have been, and I get it. It was a good pass, but not a good pass when it's intended for frickin' Sky Moore. Okay? So I am done yelling at Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney, boys. But I am not done yelling at the Chiefs. And I don't think you guys are ready for me to yell at this at where I'm going next. Andy freaking Reid. Stop looking at the barbecue and Chinese food menu. Stop going to the Old Faithful. Why are you, and I know you're going to agree with me on this one, Jordan. I know you will. Why the hell are you playing CEH and not Isaiah Pacheco? Okay. Isaiah Pacheco did so much good for you last season that you made CEH inactive in games and didn't even play him that much in the Super Bowl. You got Jerick McKinnon. Get him the ball. And then you decide, of all things, and I get it, we were kind of in dire straits. Yes, not kind of, but we were in dire straits. Why the hell do you go for it on 4th and 25? You still had a timeout. You still had a little bit of time on the clock. But you go for 4th and 25, and then you throw the ball to Sky Moore again. It sucks when the best wide receiver on your team right now, the best two wide receivers on your team right now, are a Green Bay reject who people think is only good for 9 routes, and a rookie from SMU. Do you boys have anything to say? Because my voice hurts.
So I was, like you mentioned, I was Kadarius Toney all summer. And then when he got hurt, I started jumping on Sky Moore. Honestly, might be done with both of those guys. I'm like, Rasheed Rice, like with the limited, I don't know why he didn't play more in the second half, but yeah, I don't know what to think. I mean, Mahomes trusts the Tony, so obviously he's going to continue to play. He'll be better than he was Thursday moving forward. I mean, he was coming off of the injury, so I think that they'll be fine, though. I mean, every time Mahomes doesn't throw for 400 yards, people are acting like something's wrong with the Chiefs. I don't think anything's wrong.
Riggs, I thought we were friends.
Dude, the Jack KC is not starting 0-2.
Riggs, I thought we were friends.
I see them starting 0-2, and then they can go 15-2 the rest of the season.
As long as that happens, I don't care. Yes, he does like Kadarius, but come on, there's a time when things don't. You just got to do it.
There is a way for Kadarius Toney to be good. Did you ever see the movie Little Giants?
Oh no, here we go. Yes, but go. Keep going. Keep going.
Put the tar on his head.
As long as he doesn't hit his helmet and get stuck on his helmet.
Riggs, you did say that. Riggs, I give you credit. You did say that. Yeah, I mean, I was never high on Toney, but the thing that scares me, and to wrap this one up really quick, you both know I was never a Sky Moore guy. But I don't know how you can roster Sky Moore at this point. in redraft. I don't know. In redraft, I don't know how you can roster him. Honestly, obviously in Dynasty, the problem in Dynasty is, Jamie, you're not going to be able to get the value for him that you thought you could. I was hoping for the one roster that I have Sky Moore on that I could maybe get one or two decent performances and then get rid of him. But that's not even going to be happening now because even if he has a good performance, people are think he's just going to go back to the wayside. All right.
You're not going to be able to get much for him right now.
No, not at all.
Not even a second.
So it is time for the last topic of the night, which is our waiver wire of the night. We always do this. We've done it since the beginning of the show. So let me go back into the chat real quick.
Do we do our underdog read?
After I do this, hold on. Thank you, Jared. Okay, so real quick. Let's throw this one up real quick. If my computer will suffice. All right. Goobeam. I think that's how you say it. Goobeam. I assume it may have already been discussed. No, it has not. So you don't have to go into depth, which we'll just go real quick. But for a waiver wire spot needing RB depth, Tyler Algier or Joshua Kelly? Real quick around the horn.
I was going to put Algier first, but I would put a claimer on both just in case you don't get one or the other.
Oh, yeah, definitely put a claimer on both.
Algier.
But I think it's Algier. I do think Bijan's going to get more run, but I think Algier is going to be a part of it forever. So,
and then if Bijan goes down, you got Algier more upside.
Yeah, absolutely. Will you two talk about this really quick?
I mean, if Mac and Cheese is gonna be the stud, Jamie proclaims there's definitely he's gonna have some good weeks. I mean, I don't know if he can be somebody you reliably count on every week because I mean Juju's still there, and he's gonna and I anticipate if his knee doesn't explode, he's gonna have better games. Hunter Henry, obviously Gasecki. I think they'll use the tight ends as well. So yeah, but I think as far as receivers on that team goes, it looks like Mac Jones trusts Kendrick Bourne a lot.
Yeah, they use him a lot when they were trying to catch up. So if they're going to be playing from behind, he is the guy that you want for that deep threat. So yeah, I'd cash him.
All right. So Jamie, you know what to do.
Yes, sir.
All right. Today's show is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Check out their industry-leading best ball leagues, but also with huge tournaments, private leagues, and right now with the NFL starting up, more importantly, their pick'ems for every major sport. Sign up with our promo code GF2 and get a deposit match up to $100. It's as simple as that. Sign up, use promo code GF2, and start doing your pick'ems right now. You can go higher, lower, depending on how many you pick. The multiplier goes up. I believe the minimum is 3, and then it just keeps going up on how many you pick. The multiplier, higher, lower, depending on yards, touchdowns, whatever. Okay, so it is.
On that, one thing I love about the daily underdog, you could do drafts.
Yeah.
Actually do snake drafts for the week.
Yeah, so that's not as popular, but it is definitely something that if you can get into one, do it because the chances are even better than you have 1 out of 12 instead of 1 out of a million. So let's get into the waiver. Jordan, why don't you start it off?
So we were just talking about Kendrick Bourne and mac and cheese, and so I just want to say before I go into it, earlier before DeAndre Hopkins signed with the Titans, I remember telling you, Mike,
Yep,
should have went to the Patriots. Hey, mac and cheese would be slanging that. He would look a lot better than Tannehill did on Sunday. But as far as
Jamie would look better than Tannehill did on Sunday.
As far as waiver wire goes, I'm looking at Hunter Henry, man. A lot of tight end is a tough position to kind of get if you don't have some of the top guys. And even if you have the top guys, I mean, Kyle Pitts sucked this past week. George Kittle sucked. So, a tight end is very volatile. And Hunter Henry is a touchdown or bust guy, but it looks like Mac Jones really has been going to him. I mean, last year they had a defensive coordinator as an offensive coordinator, so you could throw that out the window. But in his rookie year, Mac obviously showed that he was capable of playing at a good level. Hunter Henry and Mac has developed a rapport. I like him. You can get him off waivers to plug and play or whatever. He's always a touchdown threat if they get in the red zone, and if they're going to be playing from behind as much as I think they will, then he'll have those opportunities to produce. Another person is Puka Nacua. We've talked about him a little bit earlier. I mean, the guy had 15 targets. Cooper Kupp isn't going to be back for another 3 weeks at least. So they're going to need to throw. They're going to be playing from behind, particularly this Sunday for sure. I anticipate they'll be playing from behind. So Stafford's going to need somewhere to go with the ball. It looks like he's starting to trust him. I know a couple of weeks ago his wife said he didn't know a lot of these young guys. He couldn't relate to them. It seems like he's related to Puka pretty well. So
I thought about that too.
Seems like he's related to Puka pretty well. So yeah, I like him. You can go. I'm willing to be kind of, I guess, risky with my bet for him, with my waiver fab for him, because I think even when Kupp comes back, he's going to be there to stay for the long term. There always is going to need to be a second weapon on a team that's going to throw the ball a lot. And the run game hasn't been effective. It wasn't effective on Sunday. I don't anticipate it being effective this Sunday. So if it continues to be ineffective, they're going to be throwing the ball, playing from behind, throwing the ball. So yeah, I'm trying to get Puka as many places as I can tonight and going into tomorrow morning.
All right. So before you go, Jamie, I just want to say, with all the leagues I'm in, I'm trying to deal with waiver wires throughout the day, and I am literally my only tight end in the league. And I hope no one in that league is listening or watching or going to, because they actually are possibly. My only tight end was Greg Dulcich. Looking at the waiver wire, there is a guy named Hunter Henry. So guess who I am going to try to pick up right now? I am listening to my co-host's advice as I literally listen to Jamie talk about his guy.
Yeah, so you didn't want to save the best for last, huh? But surprise, surprise, man. I'm going to tell you to pick up my man, Roshan Johnson.
No shit.
Yes.
Really?
Man, if you would have listened to me,
somebody else.
If you would have listened to me all off season.
Hold on, Jamie. While you're discussing him, do the shameless plug at the same time, because you made this day double Roshan obvious.
I don't know where you want me to go with that.
They're going for 2 waiver article.
Oh, I did plug it in on the going for 2 waiver article. I had to do it. I recommend everyone going to read it because it is hilarious. Thank you for that, Mike. But yeah, I mean, he's going to take over this Bears offense. It's going to be sooner than later. We all know it. I've been telling you all offseason. By week 5, week 6, he's going to do it. But if he keeps playing the way he's playing on these limited touches, they have to start giving him more work. He had 6 catches on 7 receptions. He got his first touchdown on 5 carries. He finished running back 8 in PPR points. Guess who was right in front of him? The guy that's run in front of him his whole career, Bijan. He finished right behind Bijan in PPR points. I mean, if you guys would have just listened to me from the beginning, you wouldn't have to fight for him right now off the waiver wire. You could already had him on your team.
So
now you need to go pay up for him.
So let me push back a little bit as we pump the hype train for Roshan. A lot of those carries came when the game was out of hand.
But there were still carries, man. He was more efficient. He averaged 4 yards a carry while they were only averaging 3.
So I agree with all of those things, but I mean, is it what Matt Eberflus is seeing? Like, we can believe. Like, I think Roshan's probably the best running back on the team. However, he didn't get the carries until.
But if they would have gave him carries earlier, the game wouldn't have been out of hand.
Yeah. With Jordan Love slinging it the way he was, it would have still been out of hand.
He would have had more of a chance, though, man. Roshan would have had his 3 touchdowns.
Okay, can you guys see me?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, it's weird. You guys are not moving, but I am. Okay. That's kind of weird. But, so before I go, fun question from Rigged. Let's do this first. Fun question to ride off in the sunset. What was your guys' favorite play of the week? I know mine, but Jamie, you go first.
What was my favorite play of the week? That's tough. I didn't really look at a lot of my lineups, but I do have Mac Jones a lot in my super flex.
No, I think
that was fun.
I think he's talking about like real.
He's talking like actual play of like play of the week.
Oh, play! Oh, shoot! Roshan's touchdown, man.
Oh, of course.
See, of course.
Jordan, you have no idea. I was watching that game live, and as soon as it happened, I was like, "Yeah!" I was wearing my Roshan jersey and everything.
Jordan, I think yours and mine are going to be the same. Go.
The two, the play on the field, exactly. The two that come to mind was from the same game. It was the same two players. It was Tua and Tariq Hill. One of them, the first touchdown to Tariq Hill, Tua threw it, just dropped it in the bucket. I like that throw. Then another one was late in the game. Tua was under pressure. He stepped up into the pocket and kind of threw it on the run with a strike to Hill down the field. That was two plays that really stood out to me. And I always knew Tua had skills, obviously, but just seeing him do that, I always questioned his arm strength. But some of those throws he made kind of eased my doubt about him a little bit.
All right, so I got two that I liked. One was not a touchdown. It was just a good play, and I'll get to that in a second. I know this is an easy one. I am picking the low fruit. And that's the one I thought Jordan was going to go with. I can't not pick the Garrett Wilson touchdown.
Oh, well, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like that.
The way he hit it back.
Yeah, that Garrett Wilson touchdown was amazing. But another play, partly because this team needed a big play at the moment. The quarterback hadn't been playing great. It was not the number 1 or the number 2 wide receiver on his team. He dropped it in, long pass for a first down to ice the game. Great catch. And the receiver on the team happens to be my waiver wire out of the week. Was the Derek Carr pass on the sideline to Rashid Shaheed from the New Orleans Saints. It was a great pass, right in the bucket. Carr needed that play, in my opinion, because he hadn't played great. They outplayed the Tennessee Titans all game. Tennessee's defense kept him in the game. But Rashid Shaheed had, where's he at? I got my stuff. Come on. Okay, he is 13% owned. He had 5 catches, 6 targets, 89 yards, and a TD. Yes, there's going to be leagues where you're not going to need to go after Shaheed. But a lot of people do play in a little bit deeper leagues. I do think he is that high ceiling guy that if you need a waiver injury replacement in a couple weeks or even a bye week replacement when buys do start faster than I can't believe in week 5. That bugs me, but that is what it is. So Rashid Shaheed is my waiver wire. I do have an under the radar secret that I did not put on the show sheet for a reason, because I wanted this to be a secret.
I thought Shaheed was the secret.
No. I actually had to pick up Shaheed in 2 leagues that are like deep rosters, and it drives me nuts. But I'm okay with it because I think he'll be okay. I don't think he's an every week start or every day start. And a couple of the ones that I was thinking about putting, I didn't put the Baltimore running backs because I didn't want it to be like, those are like too obvious. You know what I mean? But deep down, this guy had 5 catches, 8 targets, 65 yards. I don't think he's not a start this week, but I want to see what he does. On the fantasy footballers, they said that he actually had more yards than he did all last year in a game. Not like all year, but he had 1 more yard than he did in any game last year. But he was already mentioned earlier in the episode by somebody named Jordan. So my secret person that I'm thinking that could be a secret ad in deep leagues and could pay off if someone stays injured is Allen Robinson II. Because of the target share that he's going to get, he's already going to, I think he got 8 targets. He's probably going to get closer to 10, depending on when Deontay gets back. His best game with the Rams last year was 64 yards. He had 65. I don't like it, Jordan. I saw that face.
Yeah.
It's ugly. I don't like it either. But in some leagues, there's people that are going to have to. Like, I had this argument with somebody yesterday or Sunday. He's like, all the redraft leagues I'm in are like 5 or 6 bench. And I'm like, well, there's some guys are in deeper, blah, blah, blah. I'm in a super flex redraft and the bench is 12 deep.
Ooh, nice. That's the kind of league I like.
And that's redraft. That's not even.
Yep.
And it's a start 11 with like, I think 11 or it's at least 11 or 12 bench.
That's like 250 players.
Yeah. And I'm the only American. It's the Australia-New Zealand draft.
But
Riggs
don't sleep on Calvin Austin either, man. Calvin Austin could get some looks too.
I think he will, but I just think Robinson is actually going to get some play. And there was even in the preseason and training camp, people thought some of that too. Okay, one last question from Rig before we get out of here. And first, before we get out of here, we got to do our picks of the week.
Yes.
So, and Jamie's in the lead, and that's the only reason he's happy. Real quick around the horn, and then we'll get into the games, and then we'll get out.
That's
Kendrick
easy
Bourne
for me.
or Allen Robinson. It's easy for me too. Jamie, you started off.
I'm going Bourne, man, just for the deep threat.
Yeah, Bourne.
It's Bourne. I think Jordan's tired. It's like 11 o'clock, and I pissed him off. I pissed him off by saying Allen Robinson.
Yeah, yeah. The name Allen Robinson just sickens me.
I know
it is a boring name, isn't it?
I know. I get it. Okay, so let me get to that part. So we have our picks of the week for everyone that wasn't here last week. We're going to pick the Thursday, the Sunday, and the Monday game. Jamie is 2-1. Me and Jordan are 1-2. Since there is 2 Monday night games, we are considering the Monday night pick the later of the 2, which is the normal time. One game starts at 4:15 West Coast, 7:15 East Coast, and then the second game starts at the normal Monday night football time. That's why I decided to pick that one. So first off, start with you, Jordan, then Jamie. Minnesota or Philadelphia?
Kirk Cousins in prime time. Give me the Eagles.
I was the same, man. This is going to be a wash.
All right. It is a clean sweep. Clean sweep, Philly. I'm literally putting that in my notes. All right, Jamie, you start this. Actually,
yes, sir.
Jordan, you start this one. I'll have you start the last one, Jamie. Yeah. Miami or New England, Jordan?
Miami.
Jamie?
I know it's in New England, but I think Miami's too powerful of an offense that New England can't stop them, man. So I'm going Dolphins.
All right. Hold on real quick. Mac and cheese is going to win this game.
What?
It's not because of mac and cheese. Bill Belichick is going to win this game. The defense
Oh
the
man.
defense is going to play well enough against Tua, and I think the Patriots are going to run the ball. And I think Ramondre gets back on track, and I think the Patriots upset the Miami Dolphins
If the weather is what it was like,
Sunday.
yeah, then yeah, I definitely think the Patriots. The game is in New England.
Yep.
Oh yeah, if the weather is terrible, the Tua plays bad in that type of weather, so it's possible.
All right, Jamie, do you want to start or do you want to go last on this one? It's up to you.
I'll go first since you already know. I'm calling the Cleveland Browns going 2-0. They're going to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. There's no way. I don't see it. I don't see it going any other way, man. Our defense is just going to crush them.
Jordan, what do you think?
Browns for sure.
Yes.
And that game is a clean sweep.
Okay, so we only have one game that's different. Mike picked Patriots.
I picked the Patriots, so it's a clean sweep. Philly over Minnesota. I picked New England. The other two boys picked the Patriots, Dolphins, and then clean sweep on the Browns. I will say that I think it's going to be closer than some people think, but I do think the Browns pull it off. I want them to get Nicholas Chubb going because I do know he didn't play in the fourth quarter. I understand why he didn't play in the fourth quarter, but I still want them to get their to get going. Riggs says, let's see, real quick before we leave. Riggs says, coffee or pizza cheer after the show? I'm going to go get some dinner because I'm hungry. That's what I'm doing. All right. So, Jamie, why don't you do a quick outro and then we'll go around the horn?
Yeah, man. Twitter or whatever, X, Twitter, Jamie Perogue. Find me on Facebook over there at the Fan Football Discussion Group. And then right here on Tuesday nights every week from now on the Cheat Sheet, and Sunday morning start sit show at 11:30 Eastern time. Join us for all your start sit questions.
Take it away, Jordan.
On X at jarsenal89. Starting on Wednesdays, this will be my first one of the season. A weekly article on goingfor2.com called Breakout or Fake Out. Kind of speaks for itself. I'm gonna be highlighting some guys. Some of them may have been on real or fake tonight. Who knows? But you got to check it out. Probably tomorrow it'll be dropping on the website.
He's definitely looking forward to that one.
Yep. And you know where to find me on the X. Drop the mic FF. You can also find me, like Jamie said, here on freaking Tuesday nights on the Fantasy Cheat Sheet. You can also, I got an article. I also am a writer for Dynasty Nerds. I'm the QB guy now. I guess I'm the QB writer. I'm scared that writing's scary, Jordan. Writing like this is scary.
Well, it's you got it.
Oh, I know I got it. It's different. But for Jamie, for Jordan, I'm Mike. Have a good evening and see you guys next week.
Peace.